Right, we're going a bit off topic today, but this is something that I can acknowledge because I've researched and watched and read and listened to so many podcasts, read so many studies, and listened to so many experts and professors about this issue specifically, that I think I'm somewhat qualified to give my opinion on it. I want to ask you watching this, how have we come to a point in the 21st century when we are the most technologically advanced, as far as we know, as a civilization and as a, community and the people in our communities, we are the most technologically advanced civilization to have ever lived, as far as we know. Now, with information readily available at your fingertips, on your phones, laptops, tablets, computers, you name it, the vast and overwhelmingly available amount of information, I have one question, or it's a couple of questions framed into one though. How in such a time of expertise and so much data and statistics and experience in all things life, have we come to a point where in the 21st century, you can't even walk into our major supermarket chains and pick something off the shelf that's good for you? I want to know how that happened. I know how it happened, but as a community, as a state, how have we accepted that? How have we got to the point where our bodies are so perfectly created, and a woman's body, a mother's body, is so perfectly created that everything that child needs until it's old enough to chew food is inside that mother, breastfeeding? How have we got to the point where if you walk into Coles, Woolworths, Audi, Big W, IGA, the chemist, for God's sake, like Jesus, the chemist, how has it got to a point where you can't even buy a baby formula, let alone anything else? Let's start at the very crust of the concerns and the issues that I want to raise here. If you can't even walk into a chemist and buy a baby formula that is meant to replace a mother's need, want, or ability to feed that newborn baby, without it being somehow contaminated with something that is not good for that child, that baby, the prodigies of our earth, how can we accept that? And my question is this: how have we got to a point where we can just understand that? Like, trust me, I've looked into it. There is really no, compared to a mother's breast milk, there is no healthy baby formula. Why? Because I don't know why, other than the fact conglomerates. A conglomerate is a fancy word for a big company that owns many companies. So, other than the fact conglomerates and rich people run the food industry, it still comes down to the consumer at the end of the day. You don't have a product base and you don't have the ability to make money and make something sustainable if people just don't buy your product. It's that simple in sales. So when did we come to a point where even the most precious things in this world, our children, are being chemically harmed or chemically affected by products that are meant to provide an alternative, to be safe, to be healthy, to help your baby grow and develop and become a small human being? Like, if we can accept that even baby formula is toxic for our babies, our children, do you think that anything beyond that stage is going to be healthy? You'd be retarded to think so. You'd be downright blind, deaf and dumb to think so. If they're going to poison our babies, newborns, with a baby formula that is meant to, like I said, replace a mother's ability, need or want to breastfeed, but yet it's laced with toxic chemicals. And here's the thing. People will say, oh, I fed my baby on baby formula from day one because I couldn't breastfeed and he's fine. Compared to whose baby? Compared to what study? Compared to what statistic? Like, what are you comparing this to? Everyone's child's perfect because we're all created in the image of God. And unless you're talking to a mentally unwell, disturbed person, anyone that sits there and doesn't love unconditionally their children and say that they're the best thing that God ever give them and life has ever shown them or given them, well, there's something wrong with them, plain and simple. So my question is this: with all this readily available information, with years upon years, like literally 100 years, 80 years, 100 years of scientific research around the human body, so much so that they know anything you think, they know. Anything you think, it's been thought of and looked into. Anything that you think, I think, it's already been thought of. It's already been tested, tried, true, doesn't work, false, positive, negative. Unless you're one of these bright, smart academic minds that have the ability to think in such depth on so many levels, and then you go and commit yourself to to studying something in particular. Let's just say human biology and the physiology of a human, so the insides of your body and how you function and how the body works. Unless you go and study that thing, just like mechanics, just like boxing, just like building, just like anything, unless you are smart enough to study that thing in depth and detail and learn the basic fundamentals of it, there's nothing you can say or think of that hasn't been said or thought of and looked into already. That's the simple fact of the matter. That's not me being arrogant. That's just telling you how it is. Like, think about it. If you had some brilliant idea, don't you think it would have been done already? Unless you're like genius level, unless you're like an entrepreneur with great insight into design and creativity and mechanics and aerodynamics and all these crazy things that take a smart person to be competent in. Anything you think of, even the stuff I'm saying right now, I'm sure it's been said and thought of, and even the people that put the systems in place that we live by with regards to buying toxic food that may not kill you then and there. Yeah, your baby may have been able to drink baby formula from birth till it was 2 or 3, till it could have solid food and all the rest of it. But here's the thing. We have so much information readily available if you know where to look and you know what you're looking for and you know how to decipher through the bullshit. We have so much readily available information when it comes to the human body and what foods in this world and this lifetime, especially the 21st century, does to our biology, does to our physiology, does to our mental health, does to our minds, does to everything inside of us. But yet there's no blueprint. That's what rattles me. They got a blueprint for everything else, but when it comes to human health, there is so many experts, there is so many professors, there is so many scholars, there is so many studies and reports and analytics and statistical data, and it's overwhelming because you can type into Google, tell me the best way to live the longest with regards to what I put in my mouth. And it'll come back and tell you, drink 8 ounces of water, don't eat this, eat that, bloody blah, blah. Whereas you can go and listen to people like Gary Brecker, Andrew Huberman. There's countless experts in human biology, human physiology, and especially food and diet stuff, right? Now, you go and listen to them, and I've listened to videos and watched videos where he says, if someone asked me, what's the fast track way to get diabetes? He says, I'd send them straight to the American Medical Association Board for Diabetes, print off their dietary food requirement paper, and send it to them. Now, I looked into it, and he was dead right. Like, when you look at the food pyramid, it's a scam. It's dead set designed to make you sick, not make you healthy or keep you healthy. The foods in which they tell you to eat in which portions, they're literally telling you to eat the things that are the worst for you. And these are the people that are in charge of looking after our health. So that in itself, for me, is just unthinkable, unfathomable. And I know people will watch this and say, oh, how do we change it? What do we do? Like, at the end of the day, I think with this readily available age of information and technology and our advancements in everything, medicine, health, science, space, the ocean, you name it, We are so far advanced to where we was 100 years ago that, as I said, if you've thought of it, they thought of it. If you think it, someone else has thought it. Like, it's just, there's no way around it. Like, and for me, it's like this. As I said, take it back to the bare basics. If they're willing to poison our children in baby formulas, our children, our babies, if they're willing to put toxic chemicals, trace elements of chemicals that they know over time will have a significant effect on that person, that child's development, their physical, their mental, their physiology. It's like this. Look at, let's take boxing, for example. You can put a 10-year-old in a ring with a head guard and big gloves and supervision and a great coach and all the safety measures in place to make sure that by the time they're 12, they don't have brain damage. But this is the reality. You can't avoid losing brain cells. You just can't. If you're going to do a combat sport where you get kicked and punched and elbowed and striked to the head, you're going to lose brain cells. It's that simple. It's not going to show up immediately. You're not going to send your kid to one boxing or kickboxing or wrestling session and then he's going to come back with a slurred speech or forget how to do basic mathematics or forget things that he knows and has learned and has remembered. But over time, if you keep doing it, if you keep exposing the human brain to impact trauma, yes, things will happen. Signs will show up. Now, as I said, the fact that they can give you a baby formula with trace elements of toxic chemicals in it, that, yeah, you give it to any baby anywhere in the world and they drink it, they're fine. That doesn't mean that the shit in that formula isn't sticking to your bone marrow. It's not clogging up your heart valves. It's not doing something to the development of your brain. It doesn't mean that it's not affecting your baby, because these trace elements of these chemicals in baby formula, that's what I want to get, like, that's the point of this video. If they will put toxic shit and we allow them to put toxic shit in baby formula, where do you think it ends? It don't. That's, if someone will willingly put something in there to poison your baby, guess what? You think they're not poisoning us? Our tap water, our fruits and vegetables, our food, you name it. If they're going to poison our babies with baby formula, you'd be mad to think that everything else that you buy from the exact same place that baby formula is sold is not toxic to human beings. You'd be mad. Now, as I said, I've looked into this. You can find videos of people that have taken the time to go into these big supermarket chains, even the small ones. I'm not discriminating here. And literally taken red tape or markers, like permanent markers or whiteboard markers, and because they've done their research before they get there, they walk down the aisle and just slap a bit of tape all the way down across every product. There may be half a dozen products that don't get tape put on them. And the reason they don't have tape on them is because they're the only products on the shelf that don't have X, Y, Z, A, B, C, of toxic trace elements of chemicals that are bad for the human body. Now, people can sit there and say, oh, they do it for longevity of product shelf life. They do it for sustainability in the growth of the product, because otherwise, the farms would have to be 10 times as big and the crops would have to be done in hothouses and it wouldn't be financially suitable or sustainable to the farmer. And they'll give you 101 reasons why they're poisoning us. But the reality is this. There's no acceptable reason to poison children, to poison our babies. So if they can give you a reason to do that, make no mistake, they ain't going to give you a reason to poison us, like adults, middle-aged people, people coming into adulthood, adolescence. If they're poisoning our babies with baby food, baby formula, guess what? They don't care about us. And you got to ask yourself, why? Why? Why would they poison us like that, especially our children? I think the answer is pretty simple. Like, how many people do you know that's lived past 100? How many people do you know that are 110, 120? Probably none. You'll probably never live to see someone live to 100. So I think that answers it right there. the human body, this is the other thing I want to say before I finish this video. In terms of our advancements in life in general, everything you can think of, how is it that we do not have a readily available website that has the blueprint? Now, when I say the blueprint, I don't want to listen to someone say, oh, all you got to do is type in this, or ask AI, or, you know, you can't watch Gary Brecker and then go and apply the same questions to Andrew Huberman or, you know, any of these other experts or specialists, because let's just go back to boxing again. Just like boxing coaches, you can have two coaches that have both trained a dozen world champions, but you ask them the same question without them knowing they're being asked it for comparison, they'll give you a totally different answer, because how you are taught, what you are taught, the way in which you are taught, and your own free will and ability to think for yourself is always going to determine how you answer questions, your belief system, what you condone and don't condone, what you support and what you don't support. Like, so here's the thing though. Again, with the advancements in everything in this life in the 21st century, are you telling me that the people that have the ability to run these studies, harvest these statistics so they can get 1,000 people or 10,000 people or 100,000 people, it don't matter, because with these studies, they pay people to participate and they have the ability to do it en masse, or they can do it in a group of 10, 10,000, it don't matter. But are you telling me that they don't have the ability to give us, the community, the people that make the world go round, build the roads, install electricity, power poles, plumbing, all these things? Are you telling me the people that make the world go round and build this beautiful world and planet up for civilization, are you telling me the people in control and the people with the money and the power don't have the ability to give us a blueprint, to show us studies that until they're proven wrong, they should be readily available in one place? I think that's basic logic, isn't it? I'm no expert in anything other than being retarded. So I think if someone wants to type into the internet, for example, show me or give me the blueprint for living a healthy life with regards to what I eat and drink or consume in terms of food and fluids, there shouldn't be 1,001 search results. There should be the most up-to-date, current studies around human health, human biology, and especially food. Now, I don't think I need to say much more. That's a pretty basic thing, yeah? If you type in, what does a flathead screwdriver look like? Oh, you'll only get flathead screwdrivers. If you type in, what does a Volkswagen car look like? They'll bring up nothing but Volkswagen models. If you type in, this is controversial, but if you type in, what does a boy look like? You may get a couple of different models these days, but in terms of common sense, if you type in 99% of most things into the internet these days, you're only going to get one version. You're only going to get a direct answer and the same image and the same information that just confirms what the other information and images and stuff is saying. However, when it comes to human health, when it comes to food and dietary requirements and necessities to live a healthy life, 1,001 search results, tens of thousands of study papers, so much information that it's so overwhelming that I can send things to people that are equally as smart and analytical and logical as me, but yet they'll question it immediately and send me back something from some other expert contradicting what the expert I sent them says. That right there is a hard pill to swallow, because who's right? They're both experts in their field. They may have but here's the thing. You go to a different university, you grow up in a different state, let's say Australia, and you learn from different textbooks and you learn different things. Of course, you're going to apply it how you've learnt it. You're going to apply what you've learnt. So for me, it's that simple. It starts like this. This is how it should start. And someone, because I'm not good with computers and I'm not good with technology, anyone that knows me knows that. Let's just start with the basics. If we know, and we do know this, that a baby does not need solid food or man-made food or any baby formula at all, unless the woman cannot produce her own breast milk, which is perfectly designed to give that child everything it needs and some, why on earth would there not be a logical alternative? When I say logical, go get baby formula. They're all toxic. They all have trace elements of chemicals that should not be in the baby formula. So that is not the answer. It's like this. That's the worst case example. Products and supplements and food sources poisoning and affecting negatively our children, our babies. So let's just say this, right? If we know that starch, which rice has a shitload of it in it. If we know that starch is bad for you, why is it then that people require, like dietary requirement grids and pyramids and food intake sources suggest eating rice? I don't get it. Why is that? If we know that drinking cow's milk is not good for the human body, why do we do it? Why is there not an alternative? Why are we taught that H2O, water, is what our body is made up of and the only water we should drink and the best water you can drink for yourself? When in reality, based off the research and studies that I've read, H3O2 is actually the best water source, fluid source that you can put into your body. Do you know the only way that you get H3O2? Through fruits with seeds in them, namely watermelon, grapes, plums, peaches, raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, all stuff that was here well before we, mankind, started making food sources. So there's so many little things that I've learned that I could go on about, but that's the basic premise of this video. How have we come to a point in the 21st century where, with this readily available information at our fingertips, you can't even get an accurate source for dietary intake? I believe it's because no one that's in power wants us, human beings, living any longer than we have to, unless we're special in some way, unless you're some creative genius, unless you're some think tank expert who comes up with problem-solving solutions and history and life-changing ideas. Guess what? We're restricted in the information we get, especially when it comes to our health and how to live and have longevity of life. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And now, I want to recommend, if anyone has any idea of anywhere that has current, up-to-date, science-backed information with regards to dietary intake and living a long life, that you can't then just read whatever this web page or book or anything tells you, but then go and find something that overlaps it and says, no, we've already proven that was incorrect. How come we don't have that kind of information readily available to us? The most up-to-date, accurate, precise information when it comes to our health and well-being. That really annoys me, and that really bothers me, because I can sit here for hours looking at experts and specialists, and they all say similar things, but they also all contradict one another in one way or another. So it's extremely hard to determine what you should just do in terms of a blueprint, step by step, what you should have of a morning, whether you should even eat of a morning. That's what I mean. People will sit there and say, oh, wake up and have a bowl of oats, a glass of milk and some fruit. The next person will say, oh, you shouldn't eat until after lunchtime and you should only eat once a day. The next person will say, oh, you should eat 3 times a day and you should eat eggs and bacon and all these things. The next person will say, pork is the worst thing you can eat. Like, it's mind-blowing how complicated our lives have become, given we're so far advanced compared to 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 10 years ago. Anyway, Have a good day and God bless. Let's get on the healthy path.